Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Crazy stuff happening with President Trump kind of dropping bombshell evidence on the South African president. And I find it very fitting that we have in studio today, back on the show, Jaco Booyens, Blaze TV contributor, host of The Bottom Line, founder of Jaco Booyens Ministries, and of course, born and raised in South Africa, knows a whole hell of a lot more than me about anything that's going on here. So I'm very grateful that you're on today to dissect all of that. Also, someone much smarter than me, Jason Buttrill, chief researcher of the Glenn Beck program, who I know I gave you a compliment, but don't get used to it.
I will not get used to it. And I can't wait, actually, when CNN or the mainstream media find out that we actually have a native-born South African on the show with us. They're probably going to tell us it's debunked. You know, it's a conspiracy theory that he is actually on this show and is, you know.
Next time I should bring both passports in. Not only am I South African, but I'm also African American. So let's just talk about all of the nonsense.
That's true.
Racism and all of it. Yeah.
That's true. You are the most frequent African American guest on the panel. Because Eric July is like,
he agrees.
Not me. I'm just an American. I didn't come from Africa. So I am very glad that both of you are on today. And I mean, I say that because I love both of you, but also you've got President Trump meeting with the South African president, how do you pronounce his name?
Cyril Ramaphosa.
Ramaphosa. Okay. And so he was like, you guys are murdering people. This is a genocide of white people. And he had the South African government in his office and was like, why don't we just roll the tapes? And President Trump brought his receipts. Here was some of that exchange.
Turn the lights down. Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permissions from you, from the president, from
you guys, like, do we have to?
We don't care. We can do whatever we want to do.
We have to do this.
Can occupy land or not. We are going to occupy land. South Africa occupy.
That's Julius Malema speaking.
What is he saying, Jaco?
He's the guy that calls for kill the farmer, kill the boer, which is Afrikaner white man. There's Cyril Ramaphosa sitting in front of him. That's in Parliament.
When was this?
That first clip was 2 years ago. That's last year, but he's been going for the better part of a decade.
Now this is very bad. These are
crazy.
Burial sites right here.
So
burial sites.
Those of you who are listening on audio or watching on video, all of these, it's just memorial crosses just lined up.
Pay love on a Sunday morning.
For
each one of those white
miles
you see is a cross.
Miles.
And there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers, the family of white farmers. And those cars aren't driving, they're stopped there to pay respects to their family member who was killed.
That's right.
And it's a terrible sight. I've never seen anything like it.
Yep.
Let's play one more here of President Trump really taking charge and saying, I'm not going to let you guys gaslight us anymore. This is happening. I know that it's happening. And he had all of these news articles proving that it was happening, that he had printed out and was like, here you go. Here they are. Watch.
That we just seen on the screen.
I don't know. Look, these are articles over the last few days. Death of people. Death. Horrible death. Death. I don't know.
You know, Cyril Ramaphosa is sinking in his grave right there.
Because of the violence and racist laws.
I salute you, President Trump.
And this is all. I mean, I'll give these
what
to
a
you.
champion.
So when you say what would I like to do, I don't know what to do. Look at this. White South African couple say that they were attacked violently.
President Trump, when will you go and see for yourself if it is?
Well, I could do that. Look, here's burial sites all over the place. These are all white farmers that are being buried.
Yes.
And he asks about a jet that was given. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah,
You
come on. Should
you
be
are
ashamed.
so bad. You're such a bad reporter.
Yeah, come on.
So good. We're talking about a genocide of white people, and he's like, but what about that story from like last week about the jet? Can you talk more about that? With the South African president sitting right there. Probably now is not the time, buddy. So how many family members do you still have in South Africa?
All my family. Close to 100. I mean, all my only my mother and my brother, my mother and my sister are here. All my family there, and they're farmers.
So they're in danger.
My 93-year-old grandmother was raped by 8 men, left for dead, and then died. Great-grandmother, 93-year-old great-grandmother. We have family members that have been slaughtered, dismembered. We have friends, I told you before, that their skin was boiled off of their body. Making 78-year-old women drink boiling water until they die, raping children, stringing them up, hanging them. This is stuff, you can't make movies like this. There's we're going to run a clip here. There's a memorial that was built. You see the crosses that President Trump showed there. There's a memorial that was built by the farmers and funded by the farmers. You can see it here, of names. And if you could listen to this, they list the ages. Rape of 83-year-olds, 70 tongues cut out. Eyes gouged out. White farmers, Afrikaners.
How many names are on just each one of these? The names are very small. There's a lot of freaking
hundreds
names there.
of names. The camera will, and it's by province. Each one of those memorial stones is by province. Think like by state, okay? By province. Some of them they're starting to put plaques on the back of these memorials. I mean, hundreds of names per plaque, and they go into the ages 16, 12, 5, 83, 87. And it's been going on for a decade. And I want to say this, the Blaze continues to impress me as a network. This man, Jason Buttrill, worked with Glenn Beck. When I went to Glenn, I said, Glenn, 4 years ago, this is a real issue. That's when my last family member was attacked. Can we please talk about this? Glenn said, Jaco will do research. If it's real, I'll run a show. Jason Buttrill did the research. We ran a full special, a full show in the set behind you here. Glenn did. Had interviews with South African farmers. The Blaze continues to be a front runner. The other news media, they're late. They're 4 years behind you. Thank God now it's an issue by President Trump. Cyril Ramaphosa is sitting there. This is a guy that 2 weeks ago went to the downtown Johannesburg area and literally asked this question, and this is verified, and I quote, who's in charge of this city? Who's the leadership of this city? Because it's horrible. I can't drive through the streets. There's homeless everywhere. And they go, Mr. President, it's your party. This guy is so out of touch that I actually believe if he tells Donald Trump, I've never seen graves, because he never goes. Because if you see it, you have to do something.
Yeah.
I would stand, but if I did, it would be a crotch shot on the camera. But I'm standing, President Trump, and I applaud you for fighting for the lives of the innocent across the world. This is real. I mean, I can show you video, Sarah, that is gruesome in the murders. So the farmers are building their own memorials to honor their family members. Terrific.
I will say, so when we did look into this, I was like kind of nervous about it, to be honest, at the first, because anyone that was talking about it at that time was instantly labeled as alt-right or far-right. Yes. And they were pushing this like conspiracy theory. So I was like, I don't know if I want to touch this. And then I started looking at some of the things that you sent. And I was like, what the hell is going on? I looked up news reports, local think tanks, which seemed very shady, but they were trying to pass off what was going on as just rural crime. Rural crime happening in these insane numbers with this intense brutality. Hate was what this was. This was not just, hey, I'm going to go rob this house and then take the jewelry or whatever we can find. This was something far more sinister and different. But I am just absolutely shocked on how the Western media is portraying what's going on there. This should be one of their big issues, right? Sure. They're all about like looking at, the plight of the world and then saying
minorities, right?
Minorities, exactly.
Minorities, right? And only 3 million people speaking Afrikaans. An executive order by President Trump is for Afrikaners. Only 3 million people on the planet. We've got 9.5 million people in DFW, for crying out loud. Yeah. You talk about minority group being targeted, but they're silent, Jason.
Yeah, well, so to your point, President Trump, during this, the exchange with the press and with the South African president, he was talking to an NBC reporter who, we allowed 59 Afrikaner refugees back, in May, at the beginning of May, into this country because, I don't know, it sure looks like they're being hunted and slaughtered. So if there were ever a group to allow into the country, it would be them. And of course, that's racist, according to our own mainstream media. Watch.
Any questions, please?
Mr. President, we welcome white Afrikaner refugees here. Can you explain to Americans why it's appropriate to welcome white Afrikaners here when other refugees like Afghans, Venezuelans, Haitians have all had their protected status revoked?
Well, this is a group, NBC, that is truly fake news. They ask a lot of questions in a very pointed way. They're not questions, they're statements. We've had tremendous complaints about Africa, about other countries too, from people. They say there's a lot of bad things going on in Africa, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. When you say we don't take others, all you have to do is take a look at the southern border. We let 21 million people come through our border.
I think they've gotten enough of our space.
They came from all over the world. In many cases, they're criminals. They come from prisons. They come from mental institutions. They come from street gangs. They're drug dealers. So don't say that we didn't take them. We take them. We're trying to get them out as fast as we can.
Right. Like, oh, no, not 59. Not 59,000. Not 59 million. Just 59. And they lose their minds over the fact that they're white. And, oh my gosh.
They're white.
But right, they're white and they might actually assimilate. And they're coming to this country holding American flags because they're actually grateful that we allowed them to leave the place where they were fleeing from. Oh, no, we can't have that. And then to your point earlier, Jason, you made the sarcastic remark about, debunking what Jaco has to say and the fact that Jaco knows what he's talking about. You had CNN, who, to Jason's point, we listened to that man singing the Kill the Boer song, which, again, is, you say it, not me. It's
100%.
Kill the white man.
Kill the Afrikaner white man, not even the British white man. The Boer. A Boer is a Dutch descendant. It's who I am.
Yeah.
It's my language, right? Kill the Boer, kill the farmer, because Boer means farmer.
Right.
It's the Afrikaans word for farmer.
So that is the song. You just heard him chanting it. And you have CNN debunking that it actually means what we all know and see that it means. Watch.
Larry, has been debate over that song, that anti-apartheid chant, right? And for people who don't have
just
a historical context, it does potentially appear more literal. Talk to us about the debate that has happened inside of South Africa with the recognition of how it
Look at the bottom, the text
to people when they
Trump's
hear those words.
Genocide claims, in quotes.
It is an inflammatory song, without a doubt. And many in South Africa, even black South Africans, don't think it should be sung in a post-apartheid world, 30 years plus after apartheid. But there are many who grew up under those years of white minority rule who understand the historical context of this song, Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer, that Julius Malema has made popular again. It sort of fell into disuse. It's not been that commonly sung after the end of apartheid in 1994.
That's probably because they're killing white farmers.
Again to reanimate the issue of the majority of land in South Africa still being owned by white farmers.
That is a factual lie. The majority of land in South Africa is owned by the Zulu nation, who has their own king, King Goodwill Zwelithini. They own more property than anybody else. Think of Native American tribes, but just say the majority of the property is owned by the Zulu nation, not by white farmers. They're annexing farmland, not paying them for farmland. They're not just killing them. If they don't get killed, then the government's just taking the farmland and giving it away. It's factualized. I say take that woman, fly her over on Delta Flight 200, drop her off at Johannesburg, and say, call us 3 weeks from now. She'll be begging to come back because she will see hate crime and racism like she's never seen in her life. I say ship them all over there. Let them go see. The irony is this. Most South Africans don't want to leave. They're fighting for our language. The top pop stars in South Africa, the top pop songs, Rihanna Nell is one of my best friends. She's the #1 selling South African artist. General pop songs sing of South Afrikaner history, to preserve our history. They're singing in pop songs. Imagine singing about the Mayflower and founding fathers, and it's a pop song. They're singing this. We stand united for one nation under God in the Afrikaans language. So if I may just briefly, for the South Africans, because there's a lot of South Africans that watch your show. Can I just real quick?
Please.
Ek is baie trots op julle. God se seën op julle. Die hand van God is op die nasie. Hy gaan julle beskerm. Staan sterk, staan vas. President Trump is 'n absolute superhero vir Suid-Afrikaners, maar ek weet baie van julle gaan nie die land verlaat nie. Moenie opgee nie, die Here is by julle.
Well, you looked at me, and for our English-speaking audience, he was saying Jason Buttrill is cool.
With President Trump.
He is awesome. And that superhero part, yeah, that was all me too.
Yeah, it was President Trump and Jason Buttrill. Really sad. I am proud of President Trump today, and I am so glad that you were on the show today to speak. I mean,
Sarah.
Nobody else I know can speak firsthand about this kind of thing happening. I mean, no one knows better than you. So I appreciate you being on to share that with us today. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then I want to get back into more, but I want to remind you guys, if you're not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit the thumbs up button. Make sure to comment. It'll help us in the algorithm, which we all know is still stacked against us, even though we're recently remonetized. And it's just a matter of time for the monetization of this show. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We're going to thank our sponsor, Birch Gold. So Birch Gold is there for those of you who you have maybe a 401k and an IRA lying around collecting dust, and you're like, I don't know what to do with this. What you should do is look at diversifying into gold and silver if you have not yet already done so, because Birch Gold can actually help you. It's not going to cost you a penny out of pocket. They can convert it into a tax-sheltered account in gold and silver. And the fact that you're not going to get penalized for that is crazy, because the government wants to penalize you for everything anytime you try to change your savings and the setup of it. So I work with Birch Gold. My family has done business with Birch Gold. They make it very, very easy. All they're asking you to do is text my name, Sarah, to the number 989898. They're going to send you a free information kit on gold. There's no obligation, so there's no reason not to do it. I'm not a financial expert, but they are. So go get the rundown from them. All right, Sarah, my name's Sarah, SARA, to the number 989898. Well, the Biden cancer saga just got a lot more interesting because, you know, we've had, as president of the United States, you undergo multiple different tests for physical fitness, for cognitive fitness. Well, Joe Biden, I think, skipped out on the last several cognitive fitness tests. But, you know, you had the media saying, oh, it was just conspiracy theories about mental fitness. And now the latest is that Biden spokespeople are saying that he wasn't even getting basic prostate cancer screenings. They just said, oh, no, he just didn't get them. So they claim that he, even as a vice president and a president of the United States, did not get the PSA test, the prostate specific antigen test, since 2014, even though in 2019, the doctors noted that he had an enlarged prostate. In 2021, they had a polyp that was removed through colonoscopy. And throughout that time, you would think that he had had multiple different blood tests, but no PSA tests. And then all of a sudden you have stage 4 cancer that has already spread to the bone. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Just none of this makes any sense. And you would think that they would be prepared to come up with more information that would just make it sound a little bit better. And it feels like every time they give more information about it, it becomes more and more unbelievable. More and more unbelievable that not only are you supposed to believe that they didn't catch it from, you know, being the president. I said this the day that the news broke. It's like, he's not like us, okay? We have to go to a doctor, or even before we go to a doctor, what do? We have to pull out our insurance card. Okay, I've got Blue Cross Blue Shield. Where can I go that's going to accept my insurance? I have this PPO and I only can pick from these doctors. So which doctor do I want to go to, or urgent care or whatever? That's not how Joe Biden's care was. He literally just got the best healthcare in the world, presumably. And still they just didn't do the tests. My thought process is, okay, let's take that out to its logical conclusion. If that is the case, whatever doctor was taking care of Joe Biden should be investigated. If that's the case, if that's actually true, which I don't think it is, if that's actually true, let's take them at their word. Let's investigate the doctor and let's look into whether or not that doctor should still have a license, that they have an 80-year-old man and they aren't doing routine PSA blood tests on this 80-year-old man, even as president of the United States. To me, let's look into that because that is negligence in care.
Even Ezekiel Emanuel is coming out and saying, I mean, and clearly fully embedded in the left,
right?
That he does not believe that he's like, I think he even said this didn't just didn't come on like in the past 100 days.
Right.
Like this is something they must have known about in the past. And historical precedent here is very interesting to me. And I think it's kind of the thesis point of my angle on this, what's going on. But the last time I can remember a doctor covering up for a president included the president's wife, and that was Edith Wilson, when Woodrow Wilson was basically incapacitated. It was to the point to where Edith Wilson was just running the White House. Edith Wilson was
signing
the
everything
president.
for him. Yeah.
There was a point to where they couldn't make it so obvious. So there was like a point I cannot remember the year, but there was a point within the legislative portion where there was up to 28 bills that were passed into law where there was no signature. There was from the White House, they just went completely dark because he was incapacitated. They knew they needed his signature on that. They ignored it and they just went ahead and said, well, this is law. And they did that. I think that's exactly what has been happening over the past 4 years. There was a point, I think the president didn't even get a neurological exam past like February of 2024 because they just didn't want
they knew. Yeah, they knew. They knew. They didn't want it in writing.
Exactly. So
that's what's going on here.
Exactly what's going on here. Now the question is, well, who exactly, and we're dancing around it, but who exactly was running the White House? Who was running the country? I want names.
Yes.
They all need to be brought out. They need to be held accountable.
Yes.
Because like Whoopi Goldberg said on The View, what difference does it make right now? Are you kidding me? What difference does it make? No one will ever be held accountable for this. We can have a shadow government controlling the entire country, and it doesn't matter?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not even that. Well, yes, that. But on top of that, it's like, how about the auto pen pardons? Yeah. Right? How about the Anthony Fauci pardon? And
I like Fauci.
My junior high school humor started going through. I like it.
How about the
Anthony Farty over here is doing his thing?
The Biden family pardons. I mean, these were very, very big pardons, specifically Anthony Fauci for all of the disgusting harm that he did this country and the justice that he should face. That it's like, okay, well, if he wasn't even running the country, he wasn't doing anything. We've got documented proof of that, and we can tie someone else to the signing of these pardons. Take them off the table.
Yeah, I think you just nailed it. There's my opinion now. Okay, my opinion. The tests were done. They were not shared with the public. Because he's getting the test. Like, you're not going to tell me that I was at the White House last week and we were talking about the fake set, the Oval Office set that is built at the White House, right? Where, remember, he takes the jab on a set. So you give him the jab, but not a screening. He had the screening. I didn't know that he was even ever told what is happening in his body. My opinion, they did the tests. They couldn't put it in documentation because today they would have to agree, oh, he was not healthy. Oh, he had complications because they always said, no, he's clean bill of health. He's perfect, right? So they'd have to retract and recant separately Barack Obama and Jill Biden. Barack Obama, I believe, ran that White House. And Jill Biden was the puppet master's puppet.
She'd be charged with elder abuse.
And she put her husband out there like crazy and helped run that White House. And yes, the pardons, I mean, Barack Obama, Biden, and then the cabal with Obama.
Sure. I one more fascinating tidbit here. Apparently, prostate cancer treatment is linked to cognitive decline. There was a 2008 study in the journal Cancer that says there's a strong argument that the androgen ablation therapy is linked to subtle but significant cognitive declines in men with prostate cancer. And then there's another one, Cancer Research UK, that says hormone therapy can cause different side effects. This includes problems with concentration, thinking, and memory.
Wow.
And it's probable that man got medication in his body, honestly, and he didn't even know. honestly, because he was not there.
He wasn't.
And he was a prop. I've said it before. It was Weekend at Bernie's for 4 years.
Yeah.
Prop him up.
And we still need accountability for that.
Seriously.
I'm with you, Jason. Like, we cannot let this go.
I don't even know that those pardons should stand.
No, they for sure. I mean, there's already enough evidence that they should.
Come on now.
But
I mean,
Some of them, he was on vacation, like in the Bahamas at the time, playing golf when they were signed. Give me a freaking
playing
break.
golf is a stretch.
There was a
President Trump would say, well, hold on now. He was riding a golf cart on the golf course. That's not playing golf.
asleep.
eating an ice
It's
cream
like
sandwich.
during the debate when
like
he
he was
like,
swimming.
"Oh,
No, he wasn't.
I could beat you at golf." President Trump's like, "Okay, buddy." All right.
Can I get us? Do I have time?
Yeah, real quick.
This scandal, we're only scratching the surface.
Yes.
Because I can remember reports now. I mean, even if you take Jake Tapper's ridiculous mea culpa now with his book, you take what they found out suddenly, along with all the other reporting that, from the New York Post, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, they were all doing stories in 2024 near the end after the election. But all of them mention whispers that his cognitive decline started after he left the White House when he was vice president. That's when it started. Then it started.
We all saw.
Everyone. But I'm sure they did too.
Yeah, of course they did. Of course they did.
But what better way to have your puppet in there when you can load it up with Obama people like Susan Rice? We're like, why is Susan Rice in there? Well, it seems very freaking obvious.
Yes. And by the way, to your point, Jason, and then I know we got to go to break here, but I want to give you credit because I remember specifically talking to you about Joe Biden's speech announcing that he was running for president and how different he seemed. Obviously not the Joe Biden that we see today. I mean, he's much more deteriorated than then. But even we were talking about then when he announced to run for president all the way back then that he just was not the same Joe. He just was not quite right. He was not the same Joe Biden. We saw it even back then. And now Jake Tapper on May 21st of 2025 is like, look what we found out. Yeah, who knew? Who knew? Shut up. All right, we got
clowns.
Yeah, they really are. All right, we got to take another quick break. We'll be back with more, but we want to thank our sponsor this segment, Brickhouse Nutrition. So Brickhouse has a Memorial Day sale going on right now. This barely happens, so make sure you check it out. For a limited time, you can save 25% off of everything with my code MEMORIAL25. Everything. But that also includes Lean, the weight loss supplement that targets the same goals as the GLP-1 injections, as fat shot drugs, as President Trump called them. Don't do that. Do not take those shots, okay? This isn't a needle. This isn't a prescription. People are seeing real results, and they love that it curbs their cravings. So check out the website reviews. They've also got Field of Greens. Stuff is delicious. It's got fruits and vegetables they're loaded with. So if you've got someone in your family who doesn't like to actually eat those on their plate, make sure that they stock up on Field of Greens as well. We love them all. So whether it's collagen, creatine, or any of their other doctor-formulated products, make sure you check out their sale. You can go to brickhousenutrition.com, use code MEMORIAL25 for 25% off. That is brickhousenutrition.com, MEMORIAL25. All right, I want to keep talking about this because it really is. I do fear that with many other things that have happened, that this is just going to go by the wayside. I mean, we've talked about this, but it's like, that is exactly why, my opinion, you had Friday of last week, the Axios recordings that dropped of Robert Hur interviewing Joe Biden sounding really bad. Okay, so that happened Friday. You already had the book release planned yesterday. And then sandwiched in there on a quiet Sunday afternoon, Joe Biden has cancer. We just found out. I mean, there's no way that was not just timed conveniently. Oh, yeah. And so the idea, of course, is that people like us will be bullied or shamed into not talking about it, especially when, you've got doctors who are like, this guy's not going to live for much longer. I know Ronnie Jackson said he might only have 12 to 18 months to live. And so then once he dies, then you're really not supposed to talk about it, right? Because you're not allowed to speak ill of people who are dead, especially presidents. And so I think the idea is that we'll just shut up and stop talking about it because we'll feel bad. They're going to make us feel bad.
Let's keep speaking about the people that's still alive, like Anthony Fauci and the doctors that served the president and his wife, Jill Biden. and his son and the whole cabal. I mean, no. We have to start seeing consequences for these things. You made a statement off air how significant this is, how serious this actually is. That there's a sitting president that may not be the one that signed laws, that approved invasions. That, I mean, the American people should say, well, wait a second. We elect the president for a reason. We elect Congress for a reason. There's a job to do. What do you mean that person is not doing the job? And who's doing the job? That has to be answered. Who ran the country? Susan Rice, probably. I left her out with Obama. Probably had a big hand in helping to run the White House.
And to your point, if that's what they're trying to do and kind of guilt people into not talking about this anymore, I'm sorry, but that's wrapped up into the same thing. It's wrapped up into the same thing. And you can kind of see this as Biden being, one of the victims in all of this. I mean,
nicer than me.
He holds some guilt for sure, a lot of guilt. But I mean, if you're basically almost at shotgun, like a shotgun wedding, you will stay as the figurehead.
Yes.
If we continue to go down this road, if we expose all the people involved, and we find out that the Build Back Better, the Inflation Reduction Act, all these other things. He didn't even have anything to do with that.
Right.
Yes.
These mysterious aides were the ones signing off on all this and pushing it. Well, those laws don't matter anymore?
Right.
Yeah, can we retract them?
Rescind them.
All that bullcrap, we're getting rid of it.
Yep.
Exactly.
How far can we take this?
Right.
I want to see that. And absolutely, just to your point, Jaco, people need to finally be held accountable for some of this.
Right.
If they don't, it's just going to get worse. And look throughout the political spectrum right now, Congress people are assaulting federal officers over immigration. I don't think anything's going to happen to them. They're pursuing it now, but they're emboldened because we had the summer of love. All this violence happened. Cities were burned to the ground. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
What happens in the end if this continues to go that way?
Yeah.
It's not a country I want to live in. That's for sure.
No, it's not. It's not a country the left thinks they want to live in it. You don't want to set that precedent, guys, because the next one that comes in that you don't like, you're not going to like what happens next. All right, let's go ahead and I got to take a quick break and then I got to kick you guys off. I've got other guests coming on.
We're out.
I love you guys though. All right, I want to thank our sponsor Preborn, who I'm partnering with them the month of May. It's Mother's Day month, as you know, and we're trying to get to 600 ultrasounds. All they're doing, it's very simple. Instead of sending a mom to Planned Parenthood, they go into a preborn clinic, they get shown an ultrasound, they get to listen to their baby's heartbeat, and they are twice as likely to choose life. Ultrasounds cost money, $28 to be specific. $28 is the cost of an ultrasound. So we're asking you guys, can we sponsor, Sara Gonzales Unfiltered, can we sponsor 600 ultrasounds in this month? You see the ticker, we're off to a good start, but we need your help to get to more ultrasounds.
Let's do this,
guys. $28, guys. How many people can donate $28 for an ultrasound? All right, you can go to preborn.com/Sarah. Donate securely over at preborn.com/Sarah. Do you remember Jacob Chansley? Of course, he was the January 6th QAnon Shaman, sentenced to like 41 months in prison for the very vicious, very violent crime of, I guess, being on a guided tour of the Capitol. Here's that if you missed it.
Dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy. For these crimes, Chansley was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, far more time than many violent criminals now receive. What did Jacob Chansley do to receive this punishment? To this day, there is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got inside. Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for getting the inspiration needed to
police officers to allow us into the building.
What a violent insurrectionist he was there. I'd like to welcome to the studio Jacob Chansley himself, of course, also goes by Jake Angeli. You're here in the flesh. I can't believe they let you in.
Well,
they must have not known you were the very dangerous QAnon shaman, Jake.
Or maybe somebody upstairs really likes me.
So obviously, your life was turned upside down and you had some, trials and tribulations from January 6th. You have since obviously gotten out of prison, even ran for elected office. And I want to know, what is your life like now?
Better than ever.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you up to?
Saving the world before bedtime.
So do you have a stigma associated with who you are now?
If anything, the attempted stigma that they tried to place on me has worked in the opposite way that they intended.
Really?
Because everybody can now see that it was all a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And if they lied to everybody so badly about me, what else have they lied about?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that we will ever get to the bottom of exactly who and how many people in the government, in the federal government, at the highest places of power were involved in January 6th?
Yes, absolutely. I think it's only a matter of time. Justice is coming. I said that on January 6th, except I wrote it on a note and left it on the vice president's desk.
Which in hindsight probably got you in a little bit of trouble.
The government did not take that in jest at all. Came to bite me in the ass in court.
I mean, was it hard to just watch your name be just completely sullied, even though you knew? Because for a very long time, didn't they? They withheld this evidence from your attorney for a very long time. The surveillance footage of you, again, basically being on. I'll let the audience decide for themselves. You can see it. The cop is walking behind you. There's no. Were they yelling at you? Were they threatening you? Right. They were walking along with you. This seemed like a very friendly, guided.
It was not a guided tour.
Okay.
It was, you guys.
Yes, go ahead.
The cops were overwhelmed.
Okay.
I saw that they were overwhelmed. So I volunteered to help them. I said, there's people in the Senate. Mm-hmm. If you want, I can help you clear the building, stop vandalism, violence, and theft. And they said, yes, let's go. So we went from locked door to locked door, looking for an entry into the Senate.
And you paid the ultimate price for that.
No, because I'm still alive. Well, a part of me died in that cell. Yeah. But I think I paid the perfect price because it was enough to show everybody in the country what tyranny looks like.
So what are you doing now to save the world?
Cleansing the ether of demons, then the ley lines. I just got back from Austin. I don't know if you've seen my X account recently or my Twitter account recently, but
you never show up in my feed. You're probably shadow banned.
I'm shadow banned. I know I'm shadow banned.
You're definitely
which is ironic because Elon Musk said he was going to pay for my legal fees.
I know. Oh my God, I forgot about that. Did he?
No, I never heard a word, but it doesn't matter. Neither did my lawyer. It doesn't matter. I don't care.
Sure.
Point is that if you go on my X account, my Twitter, you will find all of these pictures of all this occultic stuff that was in Austin. We're talking Baphomet, we're talking star pentagrams, we're talking about stuff that if you know, you know. Mm-hmm. So did you know that in Austin there is a massive building that is an owl?
No.
Yeah, and it's right on the ley lines next to in the same area or the same vicinity as the Capitol building of Texas. Now, owl god, Moloch. Okay, so and then you see all this other stuff in the streets where all these vendors have all this satanic symbolism in their shops and they're all collected together around this owl. A lot of halal places too.
Yeah, so you quite literally mean you are traveling the country? I'm rooting out.
In particular,
demons?
I mean, I've been doing that in Arizona and I did it in DC on January 6th and on December 12th. But I'm, kicking ass and taking names in the ether and on the ground.
Wow.
And everything I do it for you, the American people.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Wherever God puts me.
Where would you like for God to put you?
I think we're going to get heaven on earth.
In 10 years?
It's not all that hard. Imagine what we can do when we work together and stop fighting each other. What you got to understand is the whole system has been set up to create compartmentalized and propagandized groups of warring tribes based on different misinformation narratives, all arguing with each other over garbage, things that don't really matter. For example, we can all argue about what we should do with the healthcare system, or we could release the cures that the FDA and the NIH and all these people have been sitting on, and then our healthcare system, not only will our healthcare system get better, it'll get cheaper.
Yeah. Do you hold any resentment towards anyone for what happened during January 6th, whether it be the president, whether it be the police, the Capitol Police, who were happy to let you, go to prison without speaking up, the people who hid your surveillance video? Nobody?
Anger is a poison, right? And if you hold on to it, it'll kill you. The Buddha said holding on to anger is like holding on to a hot coal with the intention of throwing it at somebody else. You're the only person that get burned, So I don't hold on to anger or resentment. I try to live the way Christ did, right? What did Christ say? Forgive, right? Love thy enemies as thyself. Pray for those who use and persecute you. And that's what I did. And now look at how it turned out.
Yeah, because you say it's better than ever for you.
Well, and not just that, but look at how the misinformation narrative just dissolved because Tucker aired the truth.
Yeah. Well, and it's not just Tucker airing the truth. I think it's really a culmination of, it was a really dark time in our country at the end of Joe Biden's presidency. And it really felt like a God thing when you look at what happened during January 6th and finding out and uncovering the real truth of what happened there. President Trump's assassination attempts, the 91 indictments. I mean, of course, I'm a believer. So I see it happening and I'm like, this is all God's plan. But I feel like even for non-believers, in hindsight, you can't not look at all of the culmination of all of those years and be like, oh, well, that was definitely God's plan.
Right.
It's impossible not to see that.
Well, this is where we get into what the founders called divine providence. Okay, where you are just trying to do the right thing. That's it. And yeah, you're going through a lot of hardship, but there seems to be this thing that's guiding you. It's divine, and there's these synchronicities and stuff like that are coming together. And I'll tell you why. It's because God hates tyranny. Why? Because tyranny affects freedom of choice. Now, for those that are in Hollywood or in DC or elsewhere in the globalist system that sold their soul, what that means is they no longer have free choice. They have to choose evil.
Yeah.
And they can't go back.
Right.
Well, that's the lie, though, because you can't sell something that isn't yours. Your soul belongs to God.
Yeah.
Not you,
Yeah.
right? So you can't sell it to the devil. That's why they say the devil's a deceiver or a lion with no teeth and claws. The presence of the lion is frightening, but it can't do anything.
Where can people stay connected to what you're up to?
Just follow me on X, Twitter, at America Shaman. That's America Shaman on X or Twitter. Also, you can go to my shamanmeme.com website. I don't have my Forbidden Truth Academy website up anymore. I'm not worried about it. I don't, in all honesty, I kind of want to go back to 1995 and just not have any social media.
Yeah, sure.
But shamanmeme.com is the only real website that I have outside of my Twitter. And that is actually my cryptocurrency. I worked on the cryptocurrency with some guys from Infineon. And we created what we were calling the Shaman Quan, QWON instead of coin. If you like Jerry Maguire, you'll get the reference. But the proceeds, all the money that's being made is going toward helping children that have been trafficked heal through art and art therapy.
I love that.
And so I actually don't even own any of the coins. I don't own any of the Quan. So I'm working to make other people rich and help children heal from trauma.
Yeah.
And in that regard, I think I'm the one dealing in the most precious currency of all.
I would agree with that. I have one last question for you. I believe, if I recall correctly, I talked to you when this was a remote interview I was on with our friend Alex Stein, who you're on with tonight as well. So make sure to go check him out there. And we talked about the horns. And at that point, you said that the government still had that. What do you call it? A hat?
It's a headdress.
A headdress. So I'm sorry. Okay. I don't know the proper terms.
Okay.
So do you have that back?
I do.
Really?
It's in my car.
It's in your car.
I brought it.
No way.
Yes.
But does it live in your car? It doesn't live in your car.
No, it lives on my head.
Do you wear it out still?
I wear it when I shower.
Shut
up. I wear it when I go to bed.
Does it have does it have its own place on your wall?
When I finally did get it back from the government, I put it in an undisclosed location because I've gotten some serious offers for that address.
Yeah.
Kept it in an undisclosed location, but in its own like sacred space.
Right.
Because it is sacred to me. It's my headdress. God gave me that headdress.
It's also, I mean, it is a big part of history.
Well,
right. Like
you're, say so.
I mean, well, that picture that we just the pictures of you up there. I mean, that is like, that's a historical picture now.
I think actually the one of me singing in my shamanic song, the headshot, that's the one that went around. I think that's the one that really you know what why I think they made an example out of me is because of that photo.
Yeah.
Okay. And because they knew that I was inside trying to help the whole time. And this is important, because they knew about me long before January 6th.
Yes. Yep. I did read that.
They knew about me long before January 6th.
They were just waiting to get you on something. You think?
Or maybe I was waiting for them to get me on something.
Oh.
Maybe they were lured into my trap.
I like that. I like that. The mind games. Okay. Well, Jake Angeli, who has the coolest glasses I've ever seen in my life, and off air, I'm going to ask you where you got them.
Out of them on the ground.
Shut up.
No joke.
Oh my gosh. Life really is better for you than ever.
God gives you gifts when you do the right thing. What did Jesus say? Put first the kingdom of heaven, and then everything else will be given freely unto you.
You handle this a lot better than I would, I think. And I admire that about you, Jake.
Thank you.
Make sure that you, first of all, check Jake out on Alex Stein's show tonight, but make sure that you are following him on X. Give that X name again one more time.
America Shaman. That's America Shaman on X or Twitter.
America Shaman on X, formerly known as Twitter. Jake, thank you so much. Keep in touch. Come back soon. All right, let's go ahead. We've got to, what are we doing? Are we ending the show? All right, we're going to be right back. I want to take this time to remind people, we talk all the time about President Trump's tariffs. Well, you know who doesn't have to worry about tariffs as a company? Me, because all of my products are made in the U.S. already. So make sure to go check them out. It's AmericanBeautyBySarah.com. I'm wearing it right now, actually, on my lips. This is a liquid matte lipstick. It is called Victorious, is the color that I am wearing today. But make sure, go check us out. Of course, we are, an American company. And we believe in women being women and men being men. And I sell to trans, but I don't like them. I just do it because it's legal. I have to. AmericanBeautyBySarah.com.